guys, Exotic again here. Welcome back to another video in a series where I react to, review things, and learn things about Australia. So today, in this video, I am going to be reacting to why Krispy Kreme donuts failed in Australia. This is definitely a topic that has definitely popped up in my mind, to say the least. I'm honestly a little bit curious on why Krispy Kreme failed in why Krispy Kreme donuts failed in Australia, and I didn't even know that they even tried to enter the Australian market. I don't know why Australians didn't like Krispy Kreme donuts. The building actually looks like a donut box. Well, Krispy Kreme, while it's not as popular as Tim Hortons is in Canada, it definitely has somewhat, I would say maybe a decent amount of fans, to say the least. There are a few locations in Canada. Some know about these locations and some don't know about these locations, and I'm actually trying to figure out on why Australians didn't really like Krispy Kreme donuts. If we take a look at the menu for Krispy Kreme, they have lots of great stuff here. They got donuts, they got coffee and espresso, they got frozen drinks, baked goods, if those are your things, like muffins, bagels, croissants, and of course the donuts. That is obviously what Krispy Kreme donuts is best known for. But yeah, apparently Krispy Kreme tried to be a thing in Australia, but it didn't really catch on, apparently. So Australia, what's going on down there? What didn't you like about Krispy Kreme, of all things? Well, that is what I'm hoping to find out today, and I have a video here that explains why Krispy Kreme failed in Australia. So let's take a look and see why Krispy Kreme donuts failed in Australia.
When Krispy Kreme opened in Australia in 2003, people from across the country made their way to Sydney to buy as many donuts as they could carry. But 7 years later, Krispy Kreme closed half of their stores and laid off a third of their workforce. So how did...
That's interesting, actually. So apparently it wasn't a bust for them, but they seemed to have a decrease in traffic. That's very interesting, actually. So it's not when I don't know the best way to describe this, but I know why Starbucks failed in Australia because I did a video on that. The reason why they failed in Australia is because they tried to expand too quickly and they were not able to keep up with other competitors in the market for coffee shops. And also, they were really expensive. I think another good example I could use for this would be, I would say, when Target tried to enter Canada. The shelves weren't really stocked that well, and everything was just so expensive. And that's basically and those are basically just two examples on that I could basically use to describe this. But unlike the Australian, but unlike what happened with Starbucks in Australia and what happened with Krispy Kreme in Australia, they don't compare with what happened to Target in Canada, or what happened with Tim Hortons in America, or what happened to Walmart in Germany. That's definitely something that that's very interesting, actually. So they had a bit of increase in so they had a good start. There wasn't a bust, but apparently something happened that caused the downfall for this. So let's see what actually happened here.
How did they go from hyped obsession to totally forgotten?
Yeah, let's see what happened. I'm kind of curious about this.
When the company was started in the 1930s by 18-year-old Verdun Rudolph and his uncle Ishmael, The smell of hot donuts wafting from the ovens drew passersby.
That's very interesting, actually. I know that Krispy Kreme has been around for a very long time, but I had no idea that they've been around since the 1930s. So that's very interesting. But I do agree with what is being said here. Donuts definitely do have that like unique aroma, and they also have like that really nice taste that so many people like go after. So what is there not to like about Krispy Kreme? I know that they're definitely going to tell us like what really happened here, but yeah, but yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of this hopefully, and we'll figure out what really happened with Krispy Kreme in Australia.
Who begged to buy them straight from the ovens. Krispy Kreme got so popular that Vernon and Ishmael cut a hole in the wall of the factory to sell the donuts right away.
Really?
But in 1976, an international conglomerate called Beatrice Foods bought the brand. They sold everything from luggage to bras to, well, donuts. But they pushed Krispy Kreme away from their original identity in the name of profit. They even committed the ultimate crime, changing the fabled donut recipe that had been in place since the beginning. The outraged individual store owners banded together and bought back the company in 1982. It sparked a resurgence and a decade of rapid expansion. In 2001, Krispy Kreme expanded into Canada, which was relatively successful. That drove them to look across the globe to Australia.
Okay, so now we're about to figure out like what really happened here. And yes, Krispy Kreme definitely does have like some success in Canada. There may not be as many locations as there are as Tim Hortons, but it definitely does have like, you know, that very that it has its fans, I'll say that. It may not be as big as it is as Tim Hortons, but it definitely does have like a good fan base to say the least. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting, like once you kind of like, you know, take a look at it.
The first Australian store opened in Penrith, a suburb of Sydney, and sales were through the roof. It was reported that some people traveled more than 1,000 miles to try the original glazed.
Really?
And it wasn't uncommon to see people returning on airplanes at the Melbourne airport with bags full of Krispy Kreme donuts.
Okay, that's crazy to me. So apparently, it's not that Australians don't like donuts. They're so they really like the donuts. Apparently, they seem to like the donuts in Australia. I don't know if that's actually the case here or not, but apparently from what this video is telling us, it sounds like there's people who went on planes, traveled thousands of miles, and basically devoted their time to basically get nothing but bags full of Krispy Kreme donuts. That is very interesting to me. So what really happened here that caused the downfall here of Krispy Kreme in Australia?
This kind of donut craze wasn't unprecedented for Krispy Kreme. Throughout their history, they relied on buzz and word of mouth. This strategy continued in Australia, where it donated to local charities to create an emotional connection with the community. They also gave away a lot of free donuts and other samples. And who wouldn't be excited by a free donut? Just after their launch,
I think anybody would be
Krispy Kreme
happy by
Australia
a free donut.
immediately began scaling up. They grew from one store to 50 and employed 660 staff members at their height. And even though it kept scaling upwards, its profit didn't. The Australian branch's revenue rose 6.9% in 2009, but net profit margins were up only $62,000, or 0.1% in the same year, according to Dun & Bradstreet's company. The lack of profit was partially because Australian Krispy Kreme just had too many stores. In 2010, the US had 224 stores, serving a population of 311 million. That equaled around one store for 1.4 million people. But Australia had 50 stores for 21 million people, which was about one store for 420,000 people. It's also because Australians don't want to eat donuts every day, according to ABC.
Oh, okay. So that makes a little bit more sense now. So they don't want to eat donuts every day, and they apparently had too many stores. I can kind of understand why. Like, when Starbucks tried to enter Australia, they opened way too many stores. Like, I think when you try to operate a company, like when you're expanding your company into like another country, for example, you want to like start off with like a few stores. That's normally how you would start things off, and then you would start slowly making your way up like up there, like like making yourself like well known within the country. But apparently they didn't really do this. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back a little bit. I kind of cut them off there. But yeah, that's very interesting.
Day, according to ABC. They reported that in Australia, donuts are a treat, not breakfast. That's supposed to be because of the low-carb fad that permeated diet culture in the late 2000s, and increasingly health-conscious Australian customers. That led to 2010, when the news came out. Several factors, including location, sales declines, high rents, and high distribution costs, have meant that a number of stores are losing money. John McGinnon, Krispy Kreme's Australian CEO, said at the time,
"That is very interesting. So yeah, of course, not that many people would get donuts for breakfast. Me personally, I don't even get donuts for breakfast. Um, so yeah, it's definitely very interesting, and I do agree with what is being said here. Like, I could definitely see that being tossed into perspective here, like saying that donuts are more of a treat than a breakfast item. That I understand. And that I also kind of support as well. Like, donuts are definitely not the best breakfast item to get. It's not the best thing to start your day with. So, yeah. And, of course, you may not want to eat donuts every day because they're not the most healthiest thing for you. You could go off and like get like something like toast or put your favorite spread on there or something like fruit or cereal or whatever. But yeah, I definitely do agree with what they're trying to say here. I definitely do agree that donuts are not the best way to start off your day. And they're also not the most healthiest thing in the world either.
The company was going to go into administration, which meant that an outside firm, in this case the accountancy firm Smith Hancock, would evaluate and cut out the parts of the chain that were unprofitable. The aftermath was 35 closed stores and 200 plus employees laid off.
What?
Today, Krispy Kreme in Australia sells donuts in almost every 7-Eleven, outside of the remaining stores. A good compromise between keeping their footprint small for cost savings and expanding their reach. The last
It's very interesting now that you say that, because like I guess it would make sense if your stores aren't doing that well, and opening and not, well, maybe not opening, but like having your own, I guess your own product in another store, like 7-Eleven, for example. That I understand, but it also does kind of like make sense as well. So yeah, I totally get what they're trying to say here. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back a tiny bit here.
reach. The lesson? Know the demand before you expand.
Yes. So yeah, that's very interesting actually, and very informative as well. Yeah, I totally get like what's being yeah, it does make sense. Like, I think it's important to like understand the history of the country and the culture of the country as well before you expand your company into another country. Because if you don't plan things right, you are going to lose money, you are going to lose foot traffic, and you're also going to lose stores as well. And if you don't if you don't play your cards right, like, you're just going to go downhill from there. So, yeah, I definitely get, like, what they're trying to say here. Um, so yeah, they apparently didn't really plan things through. So yeah, I could definitely see why this clashed a little bit with Australia, and even with Australians as a whole, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Like, now that you like kind of like see it that way. So after seeing and hearing this, like, what I'm kind of curious, like, what do Australians think about Krispy Kreme donuts? Like, did you like Krispy Kreme? Did you not like Krispy Kreme? Or would you care less if they were, or would you just like, or do you just not care at all that they're, or do you just not even like acknowledge their existence? Like, that's kind of that's kind of what I want to know. Like, do you like Krispy Kreme? Do you not like Krispy Kreme? Or do you just not even like pay that much attention to it? But yeah, I think with all that being said, I think this is where I'm gonna end off this video. If you guys happen to enjoy this video, please make sure you hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe, because I try and do videos almost every single day. And if you have any other videos, and if you have any other like suggestions, like you want me, and if you have anything else that you want me to react to, learn about, or even review about Australia, leave it down in the comments below. And until then, I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!